Hi kids, today I want to talk to you about plant parts and what part of a plant it is that we're eating. This is something that you can think about with every meal you eat. Think about what part of your food came from a plant, and then what part of the plant is it that you're eating. If you think about, for example, a carrot, that in the store we sometimes see the leaves, but most often we just see the root. But that doesn't mean that the carrot doesn't have leaves or stems or even flowers or seeds, but we don't usually see those parts of the carrot. Likewise, we might see a lot of fruit and we never see the plant that it comes from. So we're just going to go through all the different plant parts and see if we can find them growing in the garden, and think about maybe some of the other plant parts that you're eating at home. So there are 8 plant parts we're on the lookout for: seeds, roots, tubers, bulbs, leaves, stems, flowers, and fruit. I'm going to show you here the plant part that I'm looking for and where I found it in the garden. I want you to think about, if you know what these plant parts are, which part of each plant we're going to eat. And then I'll show you after we find all 8 plant parts growing in the garden. Knowing what part of the plant we're eating can also help you understand how long it's going to take for that food to be ready when you grow it yourself. Fruit always takes a really long time to grow, right? Because it's one of the last things on the plant. Though the seeds are even after the fruit. We start with the seed, but for the plant to produce new seeds is the very last stage. Leaves, on the other hand, are one of the first things that are ready to eat. So if you want to grow something quickly, you might want to think about growing a crop where you eat the leaves. One of the fastest food growing projects you can do at home without a garden is just to grow microgreens on a windowsill or sprouted seeds in a jar. All right, looks like we found everything. Let's get to tasting. So I have been all around the garden and picking different crops that were ready to harvest, especially looking to get at least one of every plant part to show you. Now, each plant might have all the parts, but we don't eat all of the parts. So we're going to start off with how most plants start, right? Which is with the seed. Here we have some peas that are still in their pods. Now, each of these peas, if we left it on the plant, would dry out and turn into a seed that you could plant and grow an entirely new pea plant, which would make many, many more peas. So sweet. Now, you may have heard of split peas. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Peas are part of the legume family, and they split in half really easily into 2 pieces. So a dry split pea is not a seed that you can plant because you've only got half of the seed. The whole seed is the entire thing. We can actually see in there the baby little radicle and cotyledon leaf that would grow out into the plant. You probably can't see that here, but I can. Okay. So out of a seed, when it's planted, usually next comes the root. Now, what do you see here that you think might be the root we're going to eat? The carrot, definitely. One of America's most popular roots, I would say. This is a nice, tender, sweet carrot. It does have this long root and some little offshoots here, but we, of course, eat the main tap root. Very crunchy. Nice tasting carrot. This is an orange carrot, of course, but as you may know, carrots can grow in different colors. White, yellow, red, purple. Right now we just have orange ones growing. Okay, next part of the plant is generally the leaf. Now, I have a few different leaves here. Not all of them are ones I would eat, right? I'm not going to eat these carrot leaves. Bunnies love them. And you can also put them in soup, but we don't usually eat them. My strawberry here has leaves on it, which are also edible, but again, not the part we usually eat. This fun little plant is the entire plant has leaves on it that I'm definitely not going to eat. This is a very baby potato. I'm not going to eat those leaves. We'll come to this next. This is our stem that we're going to eat. So here's our pile of leaves, and this is actually, you know what this is? These are all spinach. There are 3 different sizes of spinach, 2 different kinds of spinach, varieties. This is both Catalina spinach, but this one is more mature plant and it's gotten pointy. This is kind of a standard baby leaf spinach that you might find in a tub of spinach from the store. Spinach is great cooked or raw. I like it both ways. Pretty mild raw. Okay, so back to that leaf we're not eating, but that we will eat the stem of. This is a very skinny piece of celery. It hopefully would grow bigger, but right now it's a baby, but I picked one anyways just to show you guys. Now the leaves are edible, but they're pretty strong. Generally they'd be used in soup stocks or broths. So you can actually, if you get celery with a lot of leaves on it, put these in the freezer and save them for the next time you're going to make soup. All right, this is delicious, filled up with peanut butter or ranch, a yogurt sauce that you make at home yourself, or just plain. I love celery. It's a very strong flavor though. Not everybody does. Okay, let's go back to that potato. What part of the plant do we eat of the potato? It's not same as the carrot. It's not the root that we're eating here. You can see it's underground, the potato, but this is actually considered a tuber, which is an engorged root. I'm not going to eat this one because it's raw and dirty, and potatoes aren't really safe to be eating raw. So I'll just probably add this to the compost, but I wanted you guys to see the tuber, and also it's cool to see all the different plant parts. Potatoes do make flowers and fruit, both of which are also not edible. Okay. One more underground growing item that we have here is also not a tuber, not a root, but garlic. This is a bulb. The family of bulbs that we eat are called alliums, and that would be onions, garlic, mostly onions and garlic, okay? Now, I'm also not going to eat this, even though it is perfectly safe to eat raw. It's actually really good for you. As you may know, it has a pretty strong flavor, and I don't want to taste like garlic for the rest of the day. But I will take this home. I love to slice it, toast some bread, and rub the raw garlic on hot toast. It's really delicious. Or you can rub it on a plate, an empty plate, and then put your salad on the plate and mix it up, and you just get this little bit of garlic juice in your salad without eating a whole clove. This is, right, a clove. So as a plant part, it's the bulb, but the whole bulb together is called the head of garlic, and each piece is the clove. Okay, we're getting towards the fruit. That's everyone's favorite, right? But before we get to fruit, what do we need? We need the flowers, right? You can't have fruit without flowers. And I have 2 flowers here, which you may not recognize, but they're both edible. This beautiful periwinkle flower is from the borage plant. Oops, it's falling apart. It's delicious, just a very mild flavor. Great on top of salads. The borage leaf itself is used for medicinal purposes. It's also good for the compost. You can cook it, put it inside of raviolis, but it's like a really kind of fuzzy, prickly leaf, so we don't grow it. Not everyone knows that you can eat it. Okay, this flower is like firework, and it actually has all these different little flowers that you can tear apart and scatter all over a salad, inside of a sandwich, on top of roasted vegetables. And this is in the same family as the garlic. It's a chive blossom. And it just has this nice, delicate onion flavor without, again, that kind of raw pungency that can come from onions. So you can't get them all year round. You can't necessarily even get them in the store. But if you do have a garden that can grow chives, they're a special treat. Chive blossom season. Okay, 4 different fruits here. First, we'll start off with one that you might say, that's not a fruit. But remember, where did these peas come from? The peas are the seed. And what do we know about fruit? Fruit has seeds. So botanically speaking, in the plant world, you could consider the pea pod to be the fruit because the seeds are inside it, especially when the pod itself is really thick and juicy. The seeds have not fully developed in there. They're really tiny, right? So at this point, I'm eating the pod, which is the fruit of the pea plant. Okay, time for a also rather unknown, but more traditionally sweet fruit. This Boys and Girls Club, the kids know, if you haven't been here for a long time now, is called a ground cherry, also known as a Cape gooseberry or a physalis, but we call it the ground cherry here. And that's because it falls on the ground when it's ripe. And it has this nice protective husk covering it, just like a tomatillo does, so that you can open it up and it's clean inside, ready to eat. It should be that beautiful tangerine orange color if it's ready. If it's still green, it's going to be pretty tart. Okay, what have we got here? Strawberries and raspberries. This is the first week that the raspberries are starting to ripen. I hope you guys get to come back to the garden before they're over. I'll stick some in the freezer though. Okay, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about these. Most people know them. Delicious. Strawberries can be grown from seed, but it's pretty tricky too. So generally you buy a baby plant. And the plant will make more baby plants. So, one fun fact is that the leaves are edible. So if you're making smoothies or something and you're going to throw in blackberries and turn the smoothie dark purple and you don't want to pull off all the leaves, you can throw them in. Okay, I saved my favorite for last. I hope you guys have some fruits or vegetables at home that you can eat, and know that there are plenty here waiting for you whenever we get back to gardening. So I hope you're going to think a little bit more at your next meal about what part of the plant you're eating. And you might say, Miss Gretchen, I'm not eating plants right now. But think about where that food came from, because it's very possible that it did come from a plant, or it came from an animal that was eating a plant. And do you know what part of the plant they were eating? Let's think about, say, a grilled cheese sandwich. Bread is, of course, not a plant, but bread is made from ingredients which come from plants, the primary one being wheat, right? And it's the wheat kernel, the grain, the seed, that we grind up and turn into flour to make into bread. How about that? Cheese. Well, most cheese is coming from a dairy animal, often cow, right? And cows, well, the cheese comes from the milk, which is produced by the cow. And the cows are hopefully eating grass. They might be eating grains too. So grass, they're eating the leaves. If they're eating grains, they're also probably eating seeds. So that's where your grilled cheese sandwich comes from. Seeds and leaves of plants, as well as other things. What else? You might be eating a chocolate chip cookie. Now, does chocolate grow on trees? Not exactly, but the cocoa bean does, right? And there was a clue right there, a bean. Beans are the seed of a plant, right? The cocoa pod is the fruit and inside are the seeds. We should do some research about what exactly part of the cocoa pod turns into chocolate to know. But chocolate also has other ingredients, right? Sugar being a primary one. Does sugar come from a plant? Yeah, it does. There's actually different kinds of plants that you can get sugar from. Beet sugar is really common in England, and probably some of our sugar here is beet sugar. And that's coming from the root, right, of the plant. And then cane sugar, of course, we all know. Where does that come from? Well, a cane is actually where raspberries grow. Blackberries on canes is a really thick stem that has juice in it. So the juice is squeezed out of the cane and then dried into crystals. So sugar comes from plants too. The flour, right, in the cookie, probably there's flour. That's going to come from wheat seeds. I've got to go check on some plants, guys. I hope you have a great day.